Welcome, everyone. Today, we're talking about an interesting topic. Cell-grown chicken and lab-grown chicken has been approved by the US for growth and could hit our grocery stores. It's a little bit of a ways out, but it will be, apparently. And Hillary and I are on a quest to try and fix people's GI systems. And so anytime there's a new kind of funky thing we've never interacted with, we always want to question, what could happen here? Is it okay? Or should we pause? Should we think about it? Is it going to be showing up in my kid's school menu? I don't know. Hillary, what do you think when I say lab grown chicken? Like what are you picturing? Because I
I
bet it's
mean,
not what it is.
look, I think the movement is for the food supply to become more sustainable and away from animal foods. And that is the food movement, like started with the Impossible Burger and that kind of thing, where they're using lab grown technology. And I don't know. I don't know that much about it, but I know that it's very divisive, that many people that are pro planet are pro this kind of work and forward movement, and then you get anybody that's more like nature cure, nature cure. They're abhorrently against it, right? And it's interesting, like the Impossible Burger stuff. I do think, as far as like our guts adjusting, it's such a complex food. There's so many um constituents that it takes to make something that tastes like burger, and it's all legumes and stuff, and we're seeing in our digestive tracts don't digest that stuff very well. Cell grown chicken's different though, right? That's basically like they're
Well,
taking.
yeah, they take cells from either like a chicken or a chicken egg or just cells of chickens. They take them and they grow them in these barrels, I guess. And so the idea is so great. We waste so much water and land space on farming animals. It's a real problem. I think the water is the real issue. So it's interesting to think about, but I'm sort of like, what does inside the barrel look like? Do they grow it in like chicken finger strains? Like, I'm just kind of curious about the whole thing. But if you can replicate cells, you're just replicating cells of chicken. So the interesting thing is that those cells might be the same as chicken, so your body might interact with them the same way. But what's the growth medium? What's in there? What are they adding to it? And so it made me think of a few different things. The first thing I thought about was back in the was it 80s or 90s? Hillary, you're going to remember this, when they came out with those potato chips where the oil wasn't absorbed at all.
No,
Do you
it was
remember?
like so
That was a
psych
mess.
where they're like, okay, yeah, you can eat junk food, but you won't get fat on the junk food
Right.
because it's not absorbable. So you'll get to eat it.
Mhm.
It's so crazy. Like there's like something in the Hunger Games movie, where where they go into the Capitol and they go to these lavish parties, and then all the people who live out and they're like fighting for their lives and they're in
Mhm.
poverty, and they go to the Capitol and they had like the pill so people could just eat all the food they wanted, and then they took a pill. I think the pill actually just made them throw up or something and start
Mhm.
again. But like
Mhm.
it's like that. It was like that concept. Like you can eat all the junk food that you want, but you won't get fat, and instead it caused like major bowel disturbances, like IBS and IBD. Like people were having major diarrhea. Like, oh, but
This is
don't
the
look over
potato chips,
here.
right?
For a
Yes. Yeah,
pandemic,
they took them off the market. So
oleic acid. They took it off the market. People were getting so sick.
so sick. So
Yeah.
that's one thing I thought of, is like, ooh, new food makes me question just in general new food. And also I thought about farm-raised fish, because again, a sustainability thing and such a valuable thing, right? To have farmed fish is just such a good idea for everyone. But then we found out that the pollution and the growing practices all created these other problems. So it's just interesting that the U.S. was one of the countries that said, "Sure, we're going to allow this to come into the marketplace." I don't know how it's going to be rolled out or not. And Singapore, I guess, was the other country that I was reading in articles about. But it just made me pause of, It just made me it made me pause, and maybe as so many people are on this planet, we need to figure these things out, but it was one of those things of, do I really want, do I really wanna be putting these things in my GI tract that maybe is not used to whatever combination of proteins and nutrients that are gonna be end up getting to your GI tract. If it starts out with a chicken cell, okay, a chicken cell, my body can handle a chicken cell. It's had chicken before. It's had chicken for a long time. My genetics know how to deal with that. My GI system has it down, right? But if it's going to be grown in a barrel or some kind of thing, like, what's in there? So it's just this pause of what is in our food supply, and it sort of, brings up, the wheat that we have. It's like, okay, we grew for so long, ever since people have been farming, with a certain kind of wheat, and now we have this dwarf wheat that we pour all these certain chemicals on, and our GI tracts are having real trouble with it. So, if you and I are constantly having these conversations about our patients and how GI health is the root of so much of the problems that we see in clinic, just something like a cell, lab grown chicken just makes me want to say, what are we doing in the world? I don't
Well,
understand.
I feel like what happens in our society is we look at in all different industries, whether it's
Mhm.
tech or rolling out. I was helping my friend buy she had to get a new washing machine yesterday. So listen to this. So she has a 2-year-old washing machine that's stackable.
Mhm.
I think the company that made it was GE or something. It died. Some service repairman came and said it's going to cost $3,000 to fix it. It's not worth it. You should get a new one. So she goes to get a new one, and we might not even be able to get the parts. So she goes to get a new one, and
Mhm.
because it's stackable, she can't. They've discontinued that model already. It was 2 years before, so she has to buy the new model. Because it's stacked, she can't put a new model with an old model. Um, and because they can't guarantee
Mhm.
the drum and the shaking. So now she has to buy the whole thing. So she's like, "Wait, so I have, like, a perfectly new dryer that doesn't," and
Mhm.
so now I have to buy a new dryer, get rid of the dryer. And we were like trying to work all these creative workarounds, but she in her house, she has to have something stacked. She doesn't have space for a side by side. Anyway, it was just like one of those things where we were all like, whoa, this feels wasteful. And he's like,
Mhm.
well, it's no problem. You just like try to sell the dryer for $100 to somebody. Somebody will come and grab the dryer. And she's like, okay, that's fine. But like, what about the people who don't like try to sell the dryer? Then it just goes to the landfill. Like, what happens? Why are like appliances that
Mhm.
are huge and so many resources, lasting for 2 years and discontinued? I remember my mom was like, my first washing machine that was like the like top loader. She like was like, it lasted for like 25 years.
Mhm.
It like went on forever. And so I think in every industry right now, like there's just such a race for optimizing technology or having the new, and we don't stop and look at the 360 view of the impact on our health, on our lives. It's the same as all of our tech. Like all of a sudden we just roll into the next thing, and
Mhm.
everyone has the AirPods, and it just became totally normalized. No one thought about, are the AirPods good for us? Do
You're
we
the
know?
only person who doesn't have the AirPods that I know. I mean, really.
Exactly, because it got totally normalized. But did you read about
Yeah.
research about having the things in your brain? Did you? I'm just curious. I'm not saying it's
Absolutely
good or
not.
bad.
Absolutely
No,
not.
no, because it just got totally normalized. Everyone wore their AirPods. We don't know. I mean, is there a significant rise in brain cancers since cell phones and stuff? Of course, but like nothing to see here. Just get the new thing. And so when it becomes part of our food in the same way, it's just one of those things that we have to take pause, because right now we are seeing people sicker than they've ever been. We are
Mhm.
in a fertility crisis. People are having a hard time getting pregnant out there, everybody. And like not everybody, some people are fine, but there's a huge group of the population that can't
Mhm.
make babies easily.
Mhm.
And there's reproductive technology that helps, but not for everybody. And so many people, I think, just think, "Oh, well, you'll just do IVF, and so you'll be fine." And that's what women think. That's what the consumer thinks too. "Okay, I'm just gonna sign up for IVF," but sometimes they need 4 or 5 rounds of IVF. Sometimes IVF isn't working.
At best, it's 65% success rate.
So, I
Same as
and
when I did it. I don't
I
think it's
talked to
improved.
some friends at dinner last night, and I was like, "Yeah, I mean, we have like a major fertility." They were talking about Japan, how Japan is like not making people, and it's da da da. And I was like, "Okay, well, just in the United States, like our population's growing, but there are people that are having a really hard time getting pregnant, and people are like, wait, what?" And I'm like young people, some 28-year-olds can't get pregnant, some 30-year-olds can't get pregnant.
Right.
It's very different. Like, and so it's just one of those things when we talk about, oh, the chicken, it's like the farmed fish. Oh, it's going to be so good. You can do this and it keeps it from the oceans and da, da, da.
Mhm.
There's a storyline with any new product, but then we come to find out, oh my God, these fish are really high in arsenic and they're high
Right.
in it's not great for the water and there's plastics in the water and blah 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 blah, and these fish in the end aren't great and we can't recommend them healthfully, but now there's a whole industry making those fish. So who gets them? The people who don't know, the people who didn't read, the people who can't pay for like wild Alaskan fish to be sent for them. So then they're getting the like crappy byproduct. So I'm not saying the cultured chicken's not the way to go. It's just one of those another place where we have to stop and take 360 looks at what
Mhm.
we're doing for our health and our bodies, because it's all fun and games until you get diagnosed, until you can't get pregnant, or it's all fun and games until you get brain cancer or some sort of cancer. And then all of a sudden you're like, life stops in the way that it used to be. And then you're into your health crisis. So if we could just kind of, as a society, like look a little bit before the bad stuff happens. I mean, am I sorry? Am I like sounding so negative over here?
No, I think our point is just, hey, that might be the way to go, but let's just, keep an eye on it kind of thing is how it goes. The same thing with the farmed fish. I mean, I think that it's such a good idea and it's so brilliant, and there probably are small companies who are fixing those problems and able to, it's just like an evolution of how we're going to feed all our people, and it is environmental. Like, we do need to think about these things. The meat we eat just consumes so much water and resources. It's not really acceptable, and so it's hard to think about how we're gonna do this. Here in Connecticut, we're dealing with some smoke, and we've never had this before, Hillary. This is the first year. This has never happened. We got smoke from Canada in June. That was the first time we've ever seen smoke in Connecticut that I remember or know of, or anyone
It's
really.
scary. It's scary as shit.
And so my
There's
daughter said to me, "Are my children going to be able to play outside, or are we just going to have this all the time?" And I
I
just
mean
sort of stopped.
I mean, it's scary. It's the same as like when you're in the West. I mean, the West has been on fire for many summers. Like, I knock on wood so far. I don't think our fires have really started yet, but um,
Mhm.
it's
The
nuts,
new
right?
world. Our grandparents didn't have this, right? I mean, fire was normal
They
and
had different things though. They had industrial pollution in a way that like they're trying to change, right? So like they had leaded gas. Like it's just that it's a moving target. Like
Mhm.
you see those pictures from the Industrial Revolution and it's like, oh my God, like they're burning coal and like that
Right.
wasn't great
Right.
either. I mean,
Not good.
so it's just this really interesting evolution, but the
Mhm.
human body has to keep up, and not
Mhm.
everybody does it. So on a bell curve, like the people in the middle of the bell curve that always do great with everything and don't have an
Mhm.
issue and don't have genetic issues and aren't sensitives or whatever, they're fine. But the tail ends of the bell curves are having a really hard time like keeping up with staying healthy in the modern day world. Can I say something super optimistic that
I think that'd be great.
yesterday I went to a yoga studio. I'm in Santa Barbara, California, and Santa Barbara, California, if you've never been, is a real place to come. It's like quite a place. It's like stunning. It's unbelievable. It's so beautiful. And it was really fun. Like with my first minute here, I'm not into celebrities or anything, but it was pretty funny. Like the first minute here, we got like 3 celebrity sightings, like ba boom, ba boom, ba boom. And I was like, wow, this is pretty funny. But the optimistic part was yesterday, my friend took me to go to a yoga class. And the yoga class, the studio was called Yoga Soup. And if you've never been there, I highly recommend going. It's this beautiful studio that's got, you walk in and it's got all these gorgeous books, like bookstore, and all these kind of Dharma books and interesting books and, psychedelics and this, like lots of different sections. And then, um, and then some health products and some clothing and stuff. And then the studios themselves were just like so beautiful, wood floors, like no mirrors. And the guy that's taught was the founder of the place. And he was just so down to earth and at ease and in comfort with himself. It was like, and he kept saying this message about we spend so much time on the way that we appear and the appearance of our vessel instead of doing things that make our muscles feel really good. He's like, so even in yoga, you go to these yoga studios where it's just like tons of sun salutations and this really aggressive practice. He's like, but the yoga is really about the muscles healing and the body coming into shapes that just feel great and allow for depth in a spiritual depth. So he did this exercise where we sat on a block and then we put a block on our head and we really like expanded up into the block and then pushed down into the block. And we just sat there for many minutes while he did a beautiful Dharma talk, essentially. And I felt so elongated, and it was like, wow, something that's so easy to do can create such a shift in how you feel in the day. Anyway, so it just really gave me, I tend to have not that big windows to exercise, and I have a dog. And so I tend to have to walk my dog and do things kind of more fast and furiously. And to be able to expand into something slowly for an hour was such a gift. But the thing that was really special afterwards is, so people from the class go into the main part of the yoga soup and he has soup for people. And it's like people can come in from the street and feed themselves, or he had bowls of berries from the farmer's market. There's bread and spread. So everybody sat around and just chatted for a half an hour or 45 minutes. And we found out about a woman who was teaching blind people how to surf, and another person it just felt like there were so many community minded people doing active service. And it just felt like such a space of healing. And I was like, wow, healing just really happens in community, and healing really happens when we slow down and when we take time. And obviously, it's easier to say when it's like a 4-day weekend. Maybe people take more time on a Sunday on a 4-day weekend, assuming some people are using a 4-day weekend here. But I just thought I walked around feeling in such better health than I normally do because of the slowdown, because of hearing about people's services and projects, or just seeing people smiling and sharing bread with people after, like, delicious homemade organic this that. And the bread had all this black running through it. They had charcoal in it. The bread actually had activated charcoal in it, which I was like, it's kind of an interesting concept. Like, does it block the mineral uptake? Does it not matter? Are there no minerals in bread anyway? Like, I don't know, but like, okay, I'm going with it. Anyway,
Oh my gosh. I
I
think that's about dose.
about dose. Anyway, we were just I just want to say that there's just something really special about slowing down. So hopefully on this third, where it's July 3rd here in the United States, everywhere, and it's the 4th of July is tomorrow, and like, may you just do something that's slow. Like, I feel like our health practices we're so much easier to feel our bodies and feel what we need or what we want when we slow down and do something really nice and easy and slow and restful. Hopefully
You're
that
making me think of Bex from our last show talking about getting a stillness practice because it's
it
really
was really amazing to do yoga where it was a really slow build and slow burn. And I felt so I sweat. It was done in such a way of like in such a peaceful way.
Mhm.
It's fun. It's fun to like be in a new place and experience new things and see how people are living. And this is one really fun place to see what's going on. And then we went across the street to this like amazing juice bar that's all everything's all organic from the local farmers market, all in glass bottles. And people are really like activists here trying to make the planet better. It felt really great. Not
Yeah,
everybody, but
you get to choose your day and you get to fill it with things you love.
fun. So what started with cultured chicken ended with go do something peaceful for yourself. Much love. See
Bye,
you soon.
everybody.
Bye.